everyone, and welcome back to Nia Natters. This is episode 11, and today we're going to be talking about behind the scenes and what it takes to really follow your dreams. So this one's just going to be a little bit more about me and my own journey on following my dreams, so that hopefully it can inspire you on your dreams. But first, just a few updates on what I've been doing, little goings on in my life. So at the moment I've just come back from a 5-day break in a Centre Parks, and it was really good. It was really enjoyable, and I found that I wasn't really on my phone very much, which is good for a digital detox, and every single day was spent outside, whether that would be walking, using the swimming pool, playing American pool, archery, pickleball, badminton, ping pong. We did a bit of everything, which was really good, and it really helped that the lodge was God knows how far away from the main section of Centre Parks where all the activities were. I think one day we had to walk for half an hour from one side of the site to the other, which once again was good for us, but very tiring. I slept like a baby last night after we'd come back, but yeah, I would definitely do something like that again. However, the reason that I said all this was because I think especially situations like that really make me aware of the type of life that I want, where I don't have to go to work. I want to be self-employed, to be able to go away like that, be able to afford places like that, and really prioritise my health and fitness and some hobbies over everything else. I do a pretty good job of that anyway, but I would really want to do that more, if that makes sense, because obviously work takes up so much of our time, and we have to work, or we're expected to work up until we're 60 something now in the UK, and I just don't think that that's the life that I want to lead. Anyways, a few wins for me recently have been that, really taking some time to prioritise my health, step away from work, and a few others are that I've hit 250 subscribers on my gaming YouTube channel and 70 followers on my Twitch channel. And if you haven't checked those out, then there's a link in the bio for that if you're into gaming, which is one of my hobbies as well, which is why I have a gaming channel. I pretty much stream almost every day. Another big life update / win for me would also be that I've finally taken the step to go and contact a GP through my company healthcare, as I'm so fed up of waiting for an appointment. And so that's got the ball rolling now. Hopefully this means that I can finally figure out if there's anything wrong with me, if so, what's wrong with me, whether I have any injuries from my fall from a horse last August, and hopefully I can get back up and running in my horse riding with full confidence that there's nothing underlying thus of any issue. But there has been some challenges recently as well, such as the house. I don't know if you know, but we have, or in the process of buying a house, and it's currently a struggle, to say the least, because there's been some issues. Both me and the seller of the house are both ready, but there's been some issues with the house and our lender, so we are currently at a standstill, but hopefully this can be sorted out this month. And yeah, so other than that, I have been working on my personal and professional goals in my spare time around the hours of work and things like that, and I am quite proud of the progress up to this point. So even though I don't really stick to a yearly change, like the New Year's resolution thing, the things that were, in quotation marks, new in January, even though I'd been doing them from last year and carrying them over to this year, are just the foundation habits and the initial routines that would happen in my daily life, such as going to the gym 3 times a week, maintaining 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, and doing almost a daily walk. I say almost because some days I'm doing other stuff. I'm going to the gym, I can't go out, there's something that I need to do instead at lunchtime instead of walking, but I do try. So that is my health focus for January. Then we'll move on to career, which I have been learning on how to market my coaching business. If you do want to have a look at my coaching business, it is in my channel description again. And I do offer packages there on personal development, but I have been working really hard on marketing that, learning how to do it, all the different ways of doing it, and I found that the best method for me would be to prep all of the different marketing methods on the weekend so that they're scheduled throughout the week. So really I have the evenings within the week to either spend on something else or do other things to further improve my coaching business as a whole. Next would be my personal development. I did start learning Chinese, but I have fallen off track with that because of the whole house situation, the whole coaching situation. There's other priorities that are happening at the moment, but hopefully I can pick this up soon. Next is my podcasts and reading as well. I do read quite often, not as much as I would like, so I will definitely be picking that up soon as well. And in terms of lifestyle, establish some cleaning routines. I already have a cleaning routine. I clean and, I do bits of tidying within the week, but my ultimate cleaning day of the week is a Sunday. I do feel like deep clean is needed, but I think that we'll have one major deep clean in our rented house and then establish deep cleans in our house when we do move in. And then in terms of relationship, as you can see, I like a good rounded area of, a good rounded balance within my life for everything. So yeah, I have split it down into different categories. But anyway, relationships is to dedicate time to family and my nan for 2 hours on Saturdays, which I already do. And I do feel like my family have been prioritised a lot more recently, which is great. So that is January, but in February and March then I have a transition and financial preparations as well. So this means that for financial preparations, this means that I have to save money for the house to be plastered, the new house, and for the kitchen to be replaced eventually this year. And for lifestyle, I have put integrate horse riding back into my routine. I'm not sure whether this will happen this month, but hopefully in the upcoming months I'll be well enough to go. It's not that I'm unwell, but I feel like I have underlying issues that I want to get seen to before I start riding again, so that I am on form and no further injuries can happen. I think I have nerve damage down my left side from my lower back. I did really damage my coccyx when I fell off because the saddle, the tip on the back of the saddle smacked me in my coccyx and it was bruised and very sore for many, many weeks. And yeah, so March is pretty much saving for the house, moving in, and focusing on my health. So these plans do change. I'm not very big on making sure that I keep the plans, down to the last detail, because I think, life changes. Life isn't always known about what's going to happen next, so you just got to kind of go with the flow sometimes and change depending on the circumstances. An exciting development of my podcast channel as well is that you've probably seen in the lower right of the screen, you'll see that I now have a Patreon. On there you can provide some donations to provide just generic support to my channel. This doesn't exactly give you anything, but it's just for me to keep this channel running alongside my other channel and my website, so that it's giving me something back for the work that I'm putting in. And I also have a second tier subscription, or a second tier payment, I should say, not a subscription, which is where you can request a digital commission from me. So if you have a specific question related to self-development or something that you'd like to be coached on, then send your commission into me and I will do a digital upload for you to view on questions that can be asked towards yourself to do some reflection and hopefully solve the issue, along with some advice, of course. However, this is not as good as a coaching session because it's one-sided, and a lot of the time, depending on how much information you give to me, I have to assume some certain situations within the context to be able to answer it, and so it might not be as fitting for you as a proper coaching session was, or would be, sorry, not was. And speaking of which, I will further down the line be offering coaching sessions one-to-one. They will be a one-off coaching session, and they are very cheap at the moment, especially compared to how much that is charged on my website. So if you are interested on having a coaching session with me, make sure that you either take a look on my website, but if you just want a one-off, then please take my one-to-one session on my Patreon, because it is a lot cheaper. So now we're going to be talking more about following your dreams, and to me, to follow your dreams is to just pursue any thing that you've ever thought you wanted to do in your life, whether that would be something that's really attainable or something that's like quite far away from your ability to achieve it. I think that no matter how big or small the dream is, that you should attempt to achieve it, because you never know what you can achieve if you put all of your effort into something. There are some common myths around this, such as success happening overnight or always having high motivation. I can assure you that from someone who works on their goals every single day, success definitely does not happen overnight, and the motivation is not always there. However, you can put things in place to maintain consistency without feeling too overwhelmed of not feeling successful and also not having motivation. So this can go in two ways. For me, the best one is where I set things out. Like I mentioned before, I do all of my coaching stuff on a weekend now, and I either do it on the Saturday or the Sunday, but usually I split it in half, however much I can get done on the Saturday, and then whatever I need to pick up on the Sunday, I will do. However, this then means that if I want to do any coaching in the week, I can focus on something extra on top of the coaching stuff that is my baseline, which is created every weekend, without me having to worry about actually having the motivation to do it every single weekday when I really don't want to after work and things like that. Maybe I have another commitment, maybe I want to go to the gym, and maybe I want to stream, you know? But motivation is definitely not always high, and I'm pretty sure that everyone who is also achieving goals in the entire world will tell you the same thing, but they have ways to cope with this, which could be overcompensating some days when your motivation's really high, and then so you've done more than expected, so on those low days you can just kind of sit back a bit more and do less or do nothing without feeling that you don't deserve it or should be doing something or you're meant to be doing something, you know? In terms of success happens overnight, success is not a one-day thing. It is a combination of all of the effort that you put in every single day that keeps rolling and rolling. Imagine a snowball and your success is the first day. That snowball might be as small as a raisin, and then the next day you have a bit more of an effort that you've put in. So success might be the size of a date instead, and then every day you're rolling that snowball and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, so your likeliness of success is increased every single day. I don't know if you've read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, but I really do recommend. It is a good way of seeing, and not idealizing, what's the word? Just like being able to see how the graph looks of 1% effort every day, like how quickly the trajectory of the graph increases is actually crazy. But yeah, that is a good book to read in terms of creating habits and, you know, how beneficial the habit creation would be each day if it is continued. I would like to say a pivotal moment in my journey that reshaped my perspective on following my dreams has definitely been between the time that I left university and now. I see why so many people give up on finding their dreams or chasing their dreams and just settle for the generic thing of working up until they retire, have kids, get married. If that's for you, then great. I'm not saying any of that is bad, but what I do say is that the almost default way of living is to settle for marriage, for a house, and to just work, have maybe one holiday if you're lucky a year, have children, and that's just all there is to life. However, you know, I kind of refuse to feel that way about life. I always think, as long as I'm still alive and breathing, there is no way that my willpower is going to be broken in terms of achieving my goals or even setting them. I'm definitely a planner. I cannot go 1 year without having some sort of plan, some sort of resolutions, some sort of things that I need to achieve by the end of the year, and if not, I feel so depressed and demotivated about life itself. And I think I really found that because when you're in school and university, there's always people there giving you affirmations such as, oh, you know, work hard now and you'll get into uni, and then when you're in uni, oh, work hard so you can get this degree. And after you get the degree, there's just starting a job, and after you start a job, there's literally nothing. There's no milestone or end to this job where you can feel accomplished. And I really found that hard at the beginning, because I was like, well, where is my ending? Where is the next stage of my life? I'm very visual in terms of like milestones and achieving something and feeling good about myself because I've completed something. But a job isn't that, is it? It's not a project. It's not a piece of homework that has an end that says, oh yes, you've got this many things right. No, you're thrown out into the world after you finish university or college or whatever it is you're doing, and that's it. That's the constant then. There's no end until you retire, and I think that that's so depressing, and I also see why people choose to settle. But I started settling and then realised that it just wasn't me. I have so many things that I want to achieve, and I want to prove people wrong about settling, and I want to help people not to settle and find something to do with their life, or find something more out of their life based on their own efforts and dreams, Anyway, stop going into coach mode now, or whatever that is. So there are some realities of pursuing your dreams, and this can look like self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and fear of failure. Believe me when I say that I feel all of these all of the time. I think sometimes I sit here and think, well, what if I'm doing all of this and I still end up in the same place as other people, just still in a job, still, having no achievements? What if I'm a fake for ever wanting to coach? What if I can't coach people because my life isn't a success itself? Or what if I just do all this and all at the end, despite all of my efforts and time and maybe even money that I put in, I fail? But I think at the end of the day, at least I can say that I've tried, and just being in the game is better than not being in the game, because if you're in the game, you have a chance of winning. If you're not in the game, there's no chance of winning. So I feel like that's the same with going after your dreams, because as long as you're trying, no matter how small that amount of trying is, then you have a chance of success. Whereas if you're not trying at all, you won't be successful, because you're not moving towards anything, you're not aiming for something. So how do you know that when you get it, you've got it? If that makes any sense. There's also other sacrifices, like the time to put in, the energy, financial risks if you do end up doing something like that, and personal trade-offs as well. But how do I put this? Let's just say you've worked your 7.5 hours a day. I'm just saying that because that's how much I work. I'm in an office job, okay? You've done your 7.5 hours for the day. You've done your 37.5 hours for the week. What do you do in the evenings? Ask yourself this. What do you do? Do you sit on TikTok and mind-numbingly scroll? Because I do. And that in itself is a waste of time, because instead of using that time to do something valuable, you're wasting it. You're wasting energy by moving your thumb up and down the screen, flicking through, and I just think time is going to go by anyway, so you might as well pack it full of things that you want to achieve instead of just watch it go by and do nothing. The same with energy. You're still going to have some sort of energy at some point that hasn't been utilised, and you can either spend it on something that's not going to benefit you, or you can spend it doing something that might benefit you after days and days of doing it. By keeping your energy up, you have to put other things in place, like making sure that you have a good routine so that you can eat to provide you energy, work out so that you're the healthiest that you can be, so that you can have more energy to do things. Maybe making sure that you sleep enough, go to bed at a certain time so that you know your fixed times of putting effort in for something. There could be financial risks, but you just have to make sure that that money isn't required for anything. Always use money that you're willing to lose, and not something that you need to use to pay for your rent or for your mortgage. Don't be stupid with it. Personal trade-offs. I think this one is the most important. I have a partner who spends a lot of his time working on something, and by default I kind of have always worked on something in my own time. I've never been one to just sit and not want to do anything. But I think finding people that are like-minded and understand where you're coming from is definitely good. And especially when you have a reason for doing it, I think is a lot easier to be able to do something like that, because you can always remind yourself why you're doing something and the benefit that it'll give you in the long term. There's also the reality of the mindset shift that's needed to push through challenges. And I think this links nicely with what I just said, which is always having a reason to do something. Sometimes it's just down to not feeling very great that day. You've had a tiring day, you've had an energy depleting day, the people that you're in work with has really drained your social battery, or the only thing you want to do is lie down and watch your favourite TV show or something like that. You know, you're really low on battery, you know, things like that. But I think that this really links in with, you know, time and energy and self-doubt sometimes as well. Anything could be a mindset shift where it makes you double take your thoughts. That made no sense. Like the mindset shifts might make you think about why it is you're doing it, what you're doing, and being pessimistic as well. You know, you might be pessimistic about it all and really not feel it that day. That's why routine is so important for days like that, where either, like I said, you could have zero motivation but know that you did everything that you needed to do that's a necessity on the weekend. So maybe one day that you're feeling off, you know you can relax. But there's also the mindset shift of never giving up on what it is that you want, because it might be a lifelong dream, but that one day where you feel so down in the dumps and so fed up of everything that you just sit there and you go, oh, you know, stuff this dream, I don't want it anymore. And then you'll wake up and think, oh my god, I've just wasted a complete day because I just said something that I didn't even mean. And that might be really insignificant, but the one day that you didn't do something, you've broken a habit, you've broken a routine, and you've lost the chance of being 1% closer to success than you are now. So I just think that routines are so important to just keep you on track, keep you moving forward, even on days that you wish that you didn't have to do it. But you'll thank yourself. You will thank yourself. Another reality, and one that hits really close to home, is handling criticism and navigating unsupportive environments. Let me tell you, Reddit is the most criticizing place because it's so anonymous. The anonymity, that doesn't sound right, but I'm gonna go with it. I think that's right. Anonymity of being on Reddit makes people feel really confident about shutting you down. And you just gotta push through it. You have to find people that are willing to support you. You have to believe in what you do. And in comes the self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and fear of failure very strongly. But I think it's so worth it. I had this one guy on Reddit that would constantly comment on every single one of my posts going, well, life coaching is completely useless. You think is useless, sure. You're free to have your own opinion, but don't ruin other people's opinions on the topic just because you don't agree. So he would comment on every single post that I made going, don't believe this person, they're like a scammer, they don't know what they're talking about, waste of time, money, not even proven to work, blah blah blah. And after a few coaching sessions with some clients that were going to give me testimonials back for my coaching, they went on other posts and were like, oh, please consider this person, they're really great at coaching. It's really finding the right people and not giving in to criticism, even though sometimes that's really difficult to do. It's having that mindset shift. It's having the knowledge of how to cope with your self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and fear of failure, to then go back to the criticisms and overlook them, or just say, you know what, you're wrong and this is how I feel, or just reassuring yourself that this is my opinion and this person's opinion doesn't matter in this context. It's also having people there for you in the background. They might not even be in the environment of what you do, but you know that they're there. But in terms of navigating unsupportive environments, that's a tough one, because then you suddenly feel overwhelmed. But I really do think it goes back to your foundation of your beliefs in yourself and what you want to get out of something, whether that's a hobby, whether that's a business idea, whether that's giving time and energy that you never gave before, and people being unhappy with it, that you now have a routine and don't have as much time for them. But they need to understand, and you need to either make them understand or offer for them to understand. If not, just leave them to themselves, about what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. So here are some strategies that also help to keep you going through this as well. Is the importance, I feel like all of these are things that we've touched on, so I'm probably going to fly through these, to be fair. So there's the importance of discipline over motivation. Like I said, some days you're not going to feel motivated, but as long as you stay disciplined, hopefully on those days you'll either just mindlessly breeze through whatever it is that you have to do, or that you've got a timetable that really benefits you. So like I said, for example, every weekend I do all of my coaching business stuff that I have to do, which leaves room for any lack of motivation in the week, or any gym sessions in the week, or any extra work that I want to do on my coaching business in the week. But knowing that all of that's done and how good it feels keeps me motivated to do that every single weekend, without a doubt. The next strategy is building resilience and adapting to setbacks. Please always, especially when this is about a career choice that you want to make, a new business that you want to set up for yourself, please take any negativity as a learning curve. Don't see it as a reason to quit, and don't see it as a reason to doubt yourself. There's always going to be something that someone has to say, either through ignorance, lack of knowledge, or just simply not willing to be told what something is. They don't want to know. Some people, they just don't care enough. They just think they know the best, and I just think sometimes you just have to accept that that person is never going to know better, but you'll always know better. And yeah, even if you have to have a setback in any of the situations, you'll usually find that okay if you have a routine, because if you're disciplined enough, you won't hardly notice the setback, because you're too busy moving forward, doing the same thing every day, building up that habit that you've built up for days and days and days, getting closer and closer and closer to that percentage of success. And obviously building resilience comes with that as well. The more times that people clap back and say something to you that's negative, the better you'll be able to respond to it or change it. I had something like that where I feel like my coaching was not niche enough. So I was like helping people with school choices and stuff like that, and I was like, well, I know nothing about this. And one day I got in too deep. I was in too deep, and this guy was like, this is a perfect example actually. This guy was telling me about, oh, well, this has happened, so now I'm between two choices, but I've already applied for this one choice, and the second choice is there for a backup if the first choice doesn't happen. And I was like, oh, well, I can't really coach anything because you seem to know what you're doing. The purpose of coaching is to help someone with a situation that they don't know about, you know? I think I could have helped him and would have helped him if he'd genuinely been unsure, but he knew. He was a very intelligent person and knew all of his options, so not coachable for me. And he turned around and said to me, oh, well, I have to say, giving you some feedback, bearing in mind my amount of time that I usually coach someone for is 45 minutes. I stayed on the phone to him for an hour and a half to help. And he said to me, oh, I think you need more work. I think you need to do more work because you didn't really coach me and I didn't really learn anything from you or benefit from anything. And I really took that to heart. I had to take some time away because that was the biggest feedback that negatively impacted me up until that point. And that hurt my feelings because I was like, maybe I'm not meant to coach, but who knows? So I took some time off and now I'm back, and I'm like, if that happened now, I would just be like, thank you for your feedback. Next person, please. I know what I'm here for. I know what I need to do. I'm more prepared. My website is better. My layout of sessions are better. So now, yeah, his feedback didn't prevent me from coaching anymore, but it changed the way that my sessions were set out. I no longer do rolling one-to-one sessions. I do introductory sessions. Sometimes I'll do one-to-one sessions based on the person's needs, as long as I know that it can fit into one session. Or I will do 4 or 5 week sessions that cover everything that needs to be covered, and they are quite well laid out, and they have a specific structure so that I can cover everything that I need to cover with enough flexibility to cater to each individual's needs. Another strategy is surrounding yourself with the right people, so having a coach or a supportive community or just friends and family that you know will be there for you if you ever have any doubt. I think I mentioned this further up, so I will move on to the next one. That one's pretty self-explanatory. As long as you're in an environment where people are there to support you, you will feel more motivated, you'll have less self-doubt, and you'll have more energy and less personal trade-offs for it because people are understanding of your situation. And staying aligned with your why when things get tough. You always need a reason to do something. I coach because I enjoy helping people and getting the benefit out of it. It is something that I've always done in my spare time anyway, so I might as well attempt to make a job out of it. Same as my podcasts, I only do this because I enjoy it. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy making suggestions to people around the topic of self-development. I'm a big advocate of self-development as well. I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of hobbies. I do a lot of personal growth in my spare time outside of work. So this is my niche, and this is something that I really love doing. If I didn't have that, there would be literally no purpose for me to do any of this, make so many effort in the week over so many amount of hours. I wouldn't be able to speak about it very much. I wouldn't be able to have opinions on it because I wouldn't be passionate about it. So make sure that you're doing something because you want to and that there's a why involved. And then the last strategy is productivity habits and goal setting methods. So I already mentioned about James Clear's Atomic Habits book. I really do suggest that. So that is just making habits dependent on whether you have a trigger and are trying to replace the action that you usually do after the trigger with something better. Or you can also stack habits. So that is when one thing happens in the morning, like when you get out of bed, you'll make your bed. After you've made your bed, you'll go brush your teeth. Stacking habits like that, doing one action after another, is a good way to make sure that you're doing all the things that you're meant to be doing almost automatically eventually. Once you get that habit down and you do it for a certain number of days where it becomes a fixed habit, then it'll be a lot easier to do and it'll feel like it's very natural for you to do it. There's another method that I use, which is it's called blocking. I was like, block something. Blocking in your calendar. So I use Google Calendar, completely free, and you put little blocks out of your day, and in those blocked times you do one activity. So for example, every day I block out 2 hours for streaming, and I will stream in those hours, and nothing else matters in those hours because that's what I'm doing. Every half an hour a day I've got it blocked out for Chinese, and I will sit and I will just do as much as I can in that half an hour. And that's all I think about, that's all I focus on, nothing else overlaps into that time. And that's how I first started building up a routine, to just force myself to do it and stop whatever it was that I was doing previously. Another one is using ChatGPT. I will never stop raving about this. It is my best friend now, but I always ask ChatGPT to plan out my days or my weeks or my months, and based on my goals, based on the things that I want to focus on that week, month, whatever, it will create a schedule and I'm allowed to chop and change however I want it to. It just makes it so much easier that I've got something to create it for me without having to think too deeply. I always keep a checklist as well. I love a good checklist. Seeing things ticked off, best thing ever. You can also find these on your phone on the App Store as well. So please go and take a look if that is something that is interesting to you. I'd like to ask you, what is one thing that's preventing you from going out and achieving your goals? Make sure to comment this down below, and if you also have any other questions surrounding this topic, then please pop them in the comments below as well. I do hope that you've enjoyed this podcast episode, and if you have, then please consider giving it a like and subscribing. I've also got a few other podcast videos / audios on my channel, and obviously there's my gaming channel as well if you want to check that out. And yeah, I think that this is pretty much it. Just would like to encourage you to keep going even when the path is uncertain, because there might be beautiful things over that hill and beyond the horizon. So I hope you enjoyed anyway, and I will see you all next week, and technically in the week. Please check out my coaching corner. There will be 3 other episodes on there this week. And yeah, I will see you all next time. Bye everyone.